So I just want to thank everyone for coming today. Today's webinar is What's New in Zoho Desk. We're covering recently updated items that have come out over the winter in 2024. So the last couple of months, but some of these have come out more recently. They've kind of staggered coming out. I do want to say some of these features are live in all environments. So you should already have access to most of these. There are some that are considered beta or early access that you might need to request. I've tried to point some of those out. There are some things, if you've seen some communications from Zoho directly, there are some things that they're advertising as out yet, but they're actually not. They're more roadmap items. And I tried to put those in the presentation as well, just a list of them, and some of the ones that I think I'm more anticipating than others. So while we're waiting for people to log in, I have a quick poll here. It basically is, how familiar are you with Zoho Desk? Ranked from 1 to 5, 1 being know little to nothing about Desk, 5 would almost be like your professional uses all the time. Just wait a few more minutes for those to come in. So it looks like everybody here so far is a fairly regular user of Desk. Thank you for putting this in. It is important to me, so I know like how simple I need to get in some of these explanations in these demos. So thank you very much. So my name is Kelly Solomon. I'm a Zoho consultant here in AspenTech. I've been with AspenTech going on 7 years almost. I am a Zoho consultant. I'm a trainer, project manager, solutions consultant. I'm a little bit of everything. I'm also our in-house power user of Zoho Desk. So, I'm our in-house admin for Zoho Desk, and I just use it a lot more than the other team members. Just in general about AspenTech CRM, we have been around since 1994. We just had our 30th anniversary. We have clients throughout North America and just about every industry I can think of. We do have a couple also around the world. We're based in Novi, Michigan, and we're a team of 8 consultants, trainers, developers, and a few couple support staff. So what are we doing today? We're going to quickly go over what is Zoho Desk. There were some people that signed up for this webinar that are not using Zoho Desk, so I do want to quickly go through it. But I did put a link there. There is a webinar we did, I want to say it was December 22, that goes over all the basics of this. So if you get lost in some of these features, or you're not using some of these features and you just want a general overview, that's a great video to go to. It goes to the YouTube recording. And then we're obviously going to go in what's in Zoho Desk. I'm going to be jumping back and forth to a certain degree between the slides and the demo, just so we don't go through all the slides and all the demo and have them disconnected, but I'm going to try to do it in chunks. And then a little bit of, how to get started, how we can help you type thing. And of course, please send in those Q&As and questions in the Q&A section. So what is Zoho Desk? Zoho Desk is currently ranked one of the best help desk softwares in the world. Since I did my last webinar, it even bumped up above Zendesk. Yay, go Zoho. Put the link down there too if you want to check it out. So Zoho Desk in a traditional sense is like a ticketing system or help desk type system. Generally, it's used for external clients. So we do have some clients that use this internally for their employees to ask for assistance on certain things. Each request is considered a ticket, tickets are assigned to an agent or a team of agents. And tickets can come in through various channels like phone, chat, web form, and things like that. You can also integrate Zoho Assist with Zoho Desk. Like, let's say you really are a tech person, you want to remote onto people's machines locally. And there are some reporting in Desk, but you can also integrate it with Zoho Analytics to get much better, much more detailed reports as well. I mentioned how tickets are created. I like to say there's features in Desk to prevent tickets in the first place. You can have a help center with like KB articles. You can have a community forum. Think of going to Zoho's help area. They have a community, a help center. It's a very customized version of Zoho Desk. And then, like I mentioned, those tickets can come in through web forms and social media, email, obviously, phone, and so forth. Departments are a really fundamental part of Desk. You might see me jumping back and forth with departments, especially depending on the questions that come in. So I do want to point it out. You do not have to have different departments, and how you structure them can be different. Maybe different product lines, and you have a department for product line A, a department for product line B, or maybe you just have different departments, like a customer service department is one, and then maybe a tech support is the second one. Who has access to Zoho Desk? Just about everyone. There's different ways to buy it in bundles or standalone apps and so forth. All right, let's dive into today's core presentation. This by far is the one I am absolutely most excited for. We have been waiting for this for a very long time, is custom modules in Zoho Desk. So basically you have your core modules like tickets and contacts, KB articles, those types of modules default out of Desk. But now if you want to have your own custom data table that meets your specific industry or company needs, you can now make a table for that data. It comes with the layout editor. You can make custom fields for it. You can move it around. You can make list views for that module, just like similar to how you can make list views for tickets right now. You can do simple workflows. I say simple because last time I checked, there is no API yet for the custom modules. We have some ideas we might be able to work around, but we haven't had a chance to test them yet. One thing to point out that's very important when you set up the custom modules, you need to decide if the data going into those custom modules should be applied to both departments. Like if I set up a vendors module, do I want the data from one department to go into one set of data, and my customer service department vendor information to go in a different silo of information? That can't be changed later. You also can't delete custom modules, but you can hide them if you're not using them anymore. Other highly anticipated one, custom lookup fields. So basically I could say from a ticket, in this case, I set up a vendor's custom module. I could say, okay, I have a ticket. This is related to a vendor. So I can look up a vendor, pull it into the ticket. And then there are some advanced features in that, like pull field data from that table. So in the example I'm going to give is I looked up a vendor for a ticket and I had it pull in the email address for that vendor. You can also do lookup filters. So in my case, I have this active and inactive vendors. So in that case, I put it where it's going to only look at active vendors. Now you can encrypt fields on the layout modules. Actually, a correction there. This is only available in the contacts module right now. So think of social security numbers, credit cards, things like that. I will point out there are some limitations when you use encryptions. Like because the data is encrypted, some other features may not work. I brought up some of those with Zoho, and I'll try to point out one when I get to the demo. And I believe they're working on it, but the more people that request that, go and create a ticket and request these features, squeaky wheel gets the oil. Now, regex stands for regular expressions. It's a way to validate data. So think of a social security number needs to be in a certain format, and you want to enforce that in the system. Another example I have that I've set up is for credit card information. And you set these up in the data validation area. And then in this case, in this example here, I've kind of piggybacked it. I said, make sure the credit card information or the data in the credit card field is valid. And then if so, show these other fields. So it's a combination of data validation and layout rules. Another like core setup feature is field permissions preview. Now, field permissions are not new in and of themselves, but it's more about how I set up for certain types of users to see these certain fields or not see these fields, or only they can see the data but not edit it. So you can quick jump between the types of users you have and see what it looks like for them, as opposed to logging out of yourself and logging into Desk as say a standard user. All right, so we'll stop there because that's more of like design type things for the demo. 1 second. Over to my notes here. So custom modules. As you can see here, I'm in Zoho Desk, and I have a couple modules up here that aren't default. So I have a vendors module, and I have a venues one that I was going to show you a little bit of how to build out. So in this case, you notice here I have certain default views set up, but I can also create custom views. In this case, like here's a custom one I made for active vendors, similar to how you create custom views for tickets that you might be familiar with. And you can also, do the security as well. I would say one key difference is they don't have favorites in here, and they are sorted alphabetically right now. You can't do manual sorts. But again, put those requests in, everyone, for those features to come out. One thing I want to point out too, right now, or at least last time I checked, there's not an import data option for custom modules, so it's something to keep in mind. So at this point, I had to manually create these, but again, put in those requests, for these new features to get similar features and functionality. So here I could click on this here, but I want to show you here this little shortcut to edit, and this will make sense in a minute. So here I jump directly to the edit mode. I can make changes to this one, mark it inactive, or change the zip code, or change the email address, or whatever. I'm going to cancel out of here. So, but I can also just go into like a view mode of a ticket. And this is just the standard layout I've set up. You can see certain amounts of history that has happened on this custom module record. And I can see tickets that have, or tickets that are linked to this vendor. So in this case, I only have one ticket that's related to Pillsbury. Now, I mentioned that little shortcut to edit because you might be going in here and saying, okay, how do I edit this one field? Like I don't get the little arrows or little pencils like you do in CRM. So to do that, you have to go up here and then do edit. And also, as you see here, this is also how you delete a record, but then you go in here. So my personal preference is to go to the module and then just go to that pencil icon. I'm just checking if I've questions? No, I don't. All right, so setting up custom modules. So normally you go to the settings and then you go to modules. The modules list, and then you could create new module. You give it a plural and a singular name. I'm going to back out of this. Remember, I mentioned that you can't delete these, so I'm not going to make extras unnecessarily, but this is one that basically is the bare bones after you go through this step. And you can start getting into the layouts of those modules. So in this case, the default is always tickets, but I could go down to my vendors. Or let's do venues. That's the one that has no fields in it right now. So just similar, like you can customize ticket layouts. Like I could put an email address in here. I'll say venue email. Or similar, settings for the field types and so forth. You can do sections for field as well. You're going to do a pick list field there. I'm just going to leave it as default for now. All right, looking for questions. Okay, custom lookup fields. So one thing I mentioned was linking a vendor to a ticket. Say I'm just randomly picking one here. Edit screen. This is a lookup field. And this is a setting here. Like remember I said there's a lookup filter. So the default is to just look for the active ones. I put you have an optional to pick the other ones as well, but you can turn this off to enforce it to only be the active ones, and this wouldn't show. So in this case, let's do Pillsbury. And you notice here when I picked Pillsbury, the vendor's email address came in as well. Now, one thing I will say that the default fields that come out of the box, the default lookup fields, do not have some of those advanced features like auto-filling related field values. So for example, right now, I couldn't edit the contact name to make it a lookup field to, pull in a contact's information. Again, please put those requests in, especially for this one, to Zoho support. Squeaky wheel gets fixed, or just pay attention. If I went back to layouts, it'll look something like this. And then these advanced features come into play, like this is that pop-up when what fields show when that pop-up comes up to pick a record. This is a setting that says, only show the active ones. And this is, remember, that optional setting I mentioned. And just some other general information. Field encryption. Now this one is only on contacts at the moment. If I go in here, let's just say I wanted to make this one encrypted for whatever reason. I can go to edit properties and encrypt field. Now, like, remember I mentioned there's some rules. Oh, because this isn't a layout rule, I can't do it. Let's try this. So regex and this is the data validation. So to customization and validation rules. Now in this case, I have it on the contacts one. In this case, I said for the social security number field, if it doesn't match some. And one thing I want to point out is this right here, choose from gallery. I really recommend you start with this. You can type your own, you can edit these, but they can get complicated, or do a simple one and get familiar with the formula structure. And then this is what shows up if the format is not correct. Another one I set up here it's more complicated, but it's whether the credit card is a valid credit card number. That one's a little longer, more complicated. And with that one, I layered it with a layout rule for the contacts. So I said, if it matches the regex, if it's good, then show certain fields and make them mandatory. So what does this look like on the system? Just gonna randomly pick someone here. And I have some fake generated credit card numbers. These are not real. And obviously all the validation stuff is definitely not real. So here, you notice here, I have my credit card information. So it validated that was at least the correct format for an email. And then only because it recognized it, then these other fields showed. So let's see if I change this to 0. It is not valid. Let's change it back to 5. And then I can start, and these are now required now. Now you could also do data validation on these things. I do think I have a validation on the zip code. I can have it be 4 digits or 4 digits the 5 digits or with the extended zip code. So field permissions. So I mentioned on the layout that you can change the permission of fields. I do want to mention there is this list of permissions, but you cannot get to this new feature from here. So this is just a list of the fields and who can do what. You can change the type of user, just a regular user or an agent or whichever one, you can see who gets what. But to get to the new feature, you have to actually do it through the layout itself. If I go to tickets, or actually, no, I did this on contacts, sorry. I have some fields here that are limited access, like, whoops, I put the wrong one in there. Okay. So you can see here that an agent should be able to see it but not edit, and the light and newbie shouldn't show at all. So up here is the new feature with preview. And right now I could say newbie agent. So they should not see the social security number at all. And if I pick agent, they'll see it, but they can't edit it. Versus an administrator can actually get into that. And this is kind of like a faux record. Okay, so back to the presentation. You can now schedule replies. So you can save a draft of the message and say, have this go out tomorrow at 8 a.m., things like that. You can do certain time intervals or a specific date and time or just a relative duration. You do have to turn this on to allow users to do it. You can also do mass replies now. Like, let's say you have a lot of tickets that are very similar in nature. They all get a generic response. You can select multiples and then hit reply, and it'll give you the same generic response to all of those tickets all at once. I'm going to do blueprints because there's another mass feature related to this. For those of you who don't know, blueprints are just a general way of enforcing a process in your system, and it's basically works around the statuses of your tickets. And then there's certain transitions that a user has to follow. One thing that is new here is if you have a non-mandatory email as part of your transition between blueprint steps, there's now a way to say skip that email. Previously, it would still enforce you to send the email. Otherwise, it would just send a blank email out, which obviously not good. So, and then similar to before, you can, if tickets are in a blueprint and you want to take them out, before you had to do it one at a time, ticket by ticket by ticket. Now you can select multiples and get them out of the blueprint. Then also there's parent-child ticketing. So let's say you have a lot of related tickets that are coming in, or maybe you have someone puts in a ticket and there's 4 or 5 things listed that they need help with, and they really shouldn't be on the same ticket. Maybe you're going to have different agents working on each one, or maybe like they won't be finished in a similar time frame and you want to close one and keep another one open. And there's different settings you can do as well. You can say, okay, don't allow the parent ticket to close until all the children are, vice versa, and some combinations in between. When you go into the settings area, there are some rules here. I just put them in here. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned, I will send out the slide deck for this as well. I know there's a lot on here that I'm not reading. All right, we'll leave that one for the next demo. All right, 1 second. So scheduling a reply. We'll go back to tickets. I'm just going to randomly pick one of these tickets. I could send an email. I'm not going to actually type this out. And then I could send it immediately, or let's say I'm not done, I get distracted. I could say save draft. However, now there's a new feature. Instead of just send, if you click down here, the little arrow, I can say schedule the reply. So I want to say maybe that's going to go out. Let's say tomorrow at a certain time. Now it says scheduled for a certain time. Mass replies to tickets. So I give some examples here. So these are both password reset things. Something that you might get frequently. So let's say I want to select, 2 or multiple tickets, and I'm not aware of a mass amount or a max amount to do these two. You have to select 2 or more, and then hit this reply. Keep in mind every ticket that replied is going to receive the exact same one. Now, I copied and pasted some text on my other screen. I will point out here, one limitation is snippets don't work here and templates don't work here. I already have those requests in with Zoho support. Put those requests in. I can't think of a better feature to put in these mass replies. And some helpful information there. And now if I go into one of these tickets, that is the one I sent. I'm gonna go to this one that was also sent. So desk blueprints. So if we go into, actually, I want to show you this first. This is a blueprint that I have set up, and I just want to show you what controls this. So I have, in order to move a ticket to waiting on customer, I have to send at least one email out. Or they get the prompt to send an email. Let's say that is not absolutely required. So if I click on this transition between the blueprint, I have an action that has to be done during the transition, and it happens to be reply. And one thing to note here, this can't be, that reply can't be mandatory for this to show up. It has to be optional. So let's say I go into some blueprint tickets here. And you can see which tickets are in a blueprint by this little icon here. So let's say, and also in my case, I have any tickets that say blueprint in the subject line automatically go into the blueprint. It's an oversimplistic thing for demos, but you can set up your own rules for which one should or should not. So in this case, maybe these ones should not be in the blueprint for whatever reason. Before, you'd have to go into one ticket at a time to do this. You notice here when I select 2, revoke blueprint. So now those tickets will not have to go through that prescribed process. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that one feature to allow people not to send an email in a blueprint. So in this case, this is that transition that I was mentioning that has the pop-up for sending an email. So one, you could go through here and type out your email, press go, that's fine. But right now, this is optional, so I can say skip this and move to the next point in the transition. Before, if it without that checkbox, it sends a blank email. And again, if the email is required, that checkbox will not be there, and definitely put something in the text box. All right, so parent-child ticketing. So in this case, I just have a few here, just examples that I already set up, but you can do this with brand new ones. So I did a parent ticket like silly. I'm having a whole bunch of issues. So I look on here, they have like four things that need help with, maybe different agency to help with those things, or like I mentioned, the time frames might be off. So, and you can also see right here, this little icon that shows that it's either, it has a parent-child relationship. In this case, this one is the parent. I happen to just put it up here, but you don't, just for example purposes. But if I go to parent-child, these are the 2 tickets I have related to it. Now I could add child tickets to this if I wanted to. I could associate a current ticket, so it's something else that's currently not a ticket that already exists, but you want to associate to this parent one for some reason. I could just create a brand new ticket from scratch and have it link automatically. And I'm going to show you this one. Clone. Let's not change this, just keep my naming convention consistent. And maybe this one, do that. And so now I have one parent record with 3 child tickets. And if I go into a child record, you're going to see again, it's linked to another ticket. In this case, it's the child of another ticket. And if I go to the parent child, I can see the parent, and I can also click on it as a hot link to get to that other record as well. I can also disassociate this ticket from the other one. Maybe it was an accident, or for whatever reason, it's no longer meant to be together. Like I mentioned, in some of the settings, there are properties you can pick about, how they can be closed or not closed, what order. Do all the child ones need to be closed before the parent, and some options. You have some options there, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay, my notes. Okay. Let's try that again. Sorry about that. I jump to my seconds. All right. Ticket assignment rules are not new. These have been around for quite a while. There's different ways to do things. You can do it by skills. You can do it by, which agent has least tickets or least loaded. This new one is sequential. Basically, it enforces a set order of assignment, regardless of the load the agents have. Now, I do want to say you can have multiple of these different types set up. I would recommend playing around with one at a time before you start doing multiples and really do some testing before you do that, or maybe make a second department temporarily and just play around with how it works, making not real customer tickets, let's say that. Also, this one I'm really excited with. I really had some doubts going in how well this was going to work. I am quite impressed. The translation does a fairly good job. What it does is you go into the email on a record. There's in the breadcrumbs on the email itself, not the breadcrumbs on the ticket as a whole, but in the email itself, there's a little drop down to pick Zoho Translate. And then it'll say, okay, it recognized the language, and then you pick the language to translate to, and so forth. And there are some tools here to help the agent respond to the in the language that the original client emailed in. And I'll be honest, I did some translations back and forth. It did a pretty good job. This isn't related to the help center. If you have that set up, when someone goes to your help center, they can log in. They can have an area where they can see all their tickets or their past tickets. There's now filters and different like sidebar views on the side, and filters up at top, which are brand new. One thing I want to point out is these team tickets. It's a setting you have to turn on. Basically, what team tickets are is, let's say I'm a client at company A. Me as a person, I have a colleague also at my same company, and we both have tickets in. Can I see my other colleagues' tickets or not? And vice versa. And again, that is a setting. So if you don't see it, I wanted to point that out. And then some new features that developers might like. There's now an audit log to see record changes and such. There's also an API dashboard that we're going to go over. Also, some field prediction settings. So in my example, I set up one to guess on the priority of a ticket based on the ticket's context information, like the subject line or the body of the request and stuff like that. I set it up to look for like the type of ticket it is like there on the query category. You do have to have a minimum of 500 non-archived tickets to do that training on. You can set up criteria to say, okay, I'll find these sorts of tickets to train on. And if you feel like it's not working well, there are some tools to retrain it to a certain degree with your original records, or you can start from scratch and pick a different set of 500 records to go from scratch on. But for example, in my priority one, it didn't do a great job, and I'm actually thinking about redoing it. There are some other miscellaneous updates that came through. I want to point out that Desk has 2 mobile apps. I happen to be an iPhone user. I don't actually have anyone to know that has an Android, so I don't know if both of these are available in both. I believe they are, though. There are some tweaks between the two. One thing I like to mention is the normal desk app, at least on Android, has a really amazing widget that you can put on your home screen. Up there, you see ticket status. It shows how many tickets I have open, how many of my tickets are on hold, overdue, and if there's any unassigned tickets, basically new things that nobody's assigned to. And you can do almost everything with the Zoho Desk apps, just about everything, responding to tickets, emails, closing a ticket, updating fields, stuff like that. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is there is the second one that I would say most people I've talked to are not aware of, is the radar for Zoho Desk app. I would say that's more like for dashboards, more of an administrator type view. And there have been improvements for that specific app. So if you see any product relation or product or in product pop-ups about the app updates, they're referring to radar for Zoho Desk. I just wanted to point that out so no one got confused and looking for features in the quote unquote normal app. So back to the demo. Okay, sequential round robin. So if we go to settings, oh, there we go, right in front of me, assignment rules. Oh, are different types of round robin or you can do, or here, I'm in the wrong one. So here I have it set to go through a set list. Like if I had 10 agents and all 10 agents are assigned to this rule, then it would go in a set order, all 10. Now keep in mind, if agent number 9 is really booked up, it's going to ignore that. So keep that in mind. Though I do want to point out one thing, that setting that hides here is this up here is you can say, you know, what's the threshold before this stops running. So I could say, okay, if the agent is at 20 tickets, then stop these from running on that agent, just an overview. But keep in mind, this setting runs for all. So if you have multiple assignment rules going on, that would apply to both rules. And this is where we start getting into setting these up. We could say, okay, certain types of tickets will get into one assignment-based rule and other types could not at all. Some other ones could go into different type of auto assignment. And this sequential assignment is the one that's brand new. Skill-based is you can set up skills and say, like, you know, someone is more proficient in certain things, and if a ticket comes in related to that, assign it to that person or to certain people. I'm just checking the time. Zoho Translator, this is the one I am really liking. In this case, I purposely sent in a ticket that's in French. And then these are some responses, but let me get the original one here. And so in this case, remember I mentioned it's not this breadcrumbs, it's on the particular message itself. So if I click Zoho Translate, I'm going to get a sidebar here. It detected the language was French, but you can always update that as well. You do have to pick the English, or sorry, the language that you want. Obviously, I want English in this case. If anybody's going to put in requests with support, have a default translate to. So now you can read what they said. What's also cool is you can start typing out how you want to respond to them. You know, hello, this is how I can say translate to English, or sorry, back to French I want. Now keep in mind that the languages are in that language's spelling. Also, they're not alphabetized because a lot of the languages use different scripts, like in Arabic. So now it's that. I can simply like copy and paste this. Like maybe I want this to be in the resolution here. You know, maybe I'm using the help center and they can see the resolution in there, so I can copy and paste it in. Or one thing that's also cool is if I go back here, I can do copy to editor, and it will start a draft of the email with this. So remember I mentioned it helps you reply to a ticket. So you could start typing out your response and then copy to editor will put it in the email response and then you send. To be honest, it's one of my favorite new features. I think it's awesome. All right, so help center. So in this case, I have a help center set up with my department. You may or may not have this, but if you do, and also a help center, you can have it where you have to log in or you don't, or it's open kind of thing. In this case, you know, I'm logged in as an external user, like pretending to be a client of Case and Saver. And if I go to my area, this is where you get the different things like my tickets, all of them, my open tickets, overdue things, whatever it has to be. Remember, this is the option where I can see other people's tickets at the same company. Like you see Betty Browser, Chris Huffman, Fred here. So these are people at the same account or the same company, but different contacts. And then also if you happen, I don't think I have any in here, but if you're carbon copied on a ticket. All right, new developer features. So if we go into settings, this is the audit log and API dashboard. So if we go to the settings, it's under data administration, we go to audit log. This is a history of what happened on the record. So there was an update or a record delete, stuff like that. Might be useful. Now keep in mind that the history is still there on the ticket itself or on the record, like you saw when I went to my custom module record. Now the API dashboard is in the developer space. Go to API and then API dashboard. So you can see like how many calls you've had. Let's go back some more time to get some more data in here. Again, this is a demo database, so there's not a ton of information in here, but you can see, you know, the calls that are made in certain time period. To January. Let's see if we can get some more data in here. Of course, I'm not getting a lot of data, but you get the idea. You can see certain charts and graphs, certain IP addresses by users and so forth. The field predictions. Actually, let me go back to here to show you where those are. I know I got 5 minutes, but I'm almost done. So that's in setup in general. Let's search for it for the sake of time. I do want to mention there's predictions and field predictions. It's this field predictions one. So in this case, I set it up to try to assign the priority of a ticket. I uploaded 500. I actually uploaded enough tickets as an import to get enough to run this on, and then it ran all those 500 tickets. These are ones that it didn't or sorry, this one is where it didn't necessarily know what to pick. You can pick it manually. These are ones that it assigned, and you can go through and say, oh no, you did it wrong, this one should be low, and so forth. Let's say you changed a lot, you can say like retrain it with the same amount of tickets. You can also retrain it as a whole, or you could get rid of this one and set it up again from scratch and use a better subset of records to train off of. Like in this case, I probably would have wanted to do like more like things in the subject line that say urgent or high priority or big deal or whatever it is. But how does this look in an actual ticket? Let's go into a random one here. In here, you see the little kind of like a wand icon. So in this one, it couldn't predict the category, but or the type of ticket it is, probably because this is one with lots of different items and it's so varied that it couldn't decide. But it did say that it was a high priority ticket. Now you can always go in and override these, like maybe obviously it didn't pick that one, so I'm just going to randomly grab something here. But I can also change the priority as well manually. All right, so we're almost done. I know we're almost at the top of the hour, getting really close. All right, so we went over this one. So I want to mention some things that you might have to request access to. So we showed the parent-child ticketing. You do have to request that from support to get access to it. If you need help with that, we can help you. The encrypting of individual fields. There is a sandbox environment. You do have to ask for access to it. I did not demo it today because in general, I have not been able to get it to work well. So I figured we'd leave that for another webinar. Now, there are some, like I mentioned, some roadmap type items that I'm particularly interested in. A lot of them have to do with user accessibility. Think of people with disabilities, visual disabilities. I have a sister-in-law who's legally blind that would use almost all of these. But also some ones that I think everyone would be interested in is like color coding pick lists, controlling what types of attachments your agents or end users can upload. You can do certain personas, like I mentioned, disabilities. So you can do different types of disabilities automatically by default, get certain settings easily and quickly without having to go through tons of settings. And also the ability to custom define how your ticket numbers are formatted if you have your own system. Where to start? I would recommend, keep it short and simple if you're brand new to Desk. But how can we help you? We can help you, set up a lot of these new features. If you need help, if you run into snags or just need general advice about, okay, what is a good use of custom modules? What's the best way to use a custom lookup? Or you just need some general help, feel free to contact us. We can also train your agents. We can train your administrators and your managers. We can assist you, like analyze your desk data. We can help you set up those reports or help you get Zoho Analytics hooked up with your desk data, and we can customize it for you. We can help you set up your help center or maybe your social. And we can also help you with automations and custom functions and workflows as well, especially some more complex ones that you can't do out of the box. Questions, I'm just going to double check, but I do not see any questions, and I know we're at the top of the hour, so I'm just going to power through here. And I just want to thank everyone for coming today. Again, my contact information is on the screen, Kelly Salmon, ksalmon@aspen-tech.com. 734-455-7188, extension 114. And if you want to put in a ticket to our Zoho Desk, it is zoho.support@aspen-tech.com. And I want to thank everyone for coming today. I will also send out a link to the recording. I will do a PDF of the slides. Most likely, I'm going to send those out tomorrow. I have a bunch of meetings this afternoon. All right. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great day. Looking forward to hearing from you all if you have any questions or need any assistance with Zoho Desk. Thank you.